Hey everyone, how are you? It's Mr. Brown and the industry. We're back. So anyway, let's see. I got a lot of questions from my last little episode, and it's good to hear that people are listening, looking, kind of, what's this guy about? What's he talking about? So let's get right into it. One of the most important things you can bring to a job, a set, a film, a commercial, is your attitude. Attitude is everything. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about a good positive attitude, not a phony attitude, not a kiss butt attitude or, over the top. Just be genuinely you. But, be a team player. Have fun, be a professional, do as you're told. Don't take any liberties and, I want to do it this way or whatever. No, 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 no. It's not about me. It's about we. Keep that in mind. Never forget that. No matter how successful you get in this industry, it's always about we, not me. And you'll go a long way. Trust me, I've seen a lot of people crash and burn over the years, and it's not a pretty sight, and you don't get to work anymore, or not as much as you'd like to. So keep that in mind. Attitude's everything. I mean, you can be complimentary of your other actors. For example, you might be the first person up on your scene, and you're doing your thing, and then the next person's up, or it can be vice versa. But if somebody goes up, they do a good job, be supportive of them, Being an actor is a kind of strange business. So, a lot of people need some, encouragement or support. I'm not one of those people, I just go in and do my thing. I do it for me and I do it for the audience or whatever. It's fun. I'm just storytelling. Some people need that support or whatever, but if I see someone who's may need that or their work just really stands out good, I'm going to compliment them. They're not the enemy. You know what? They are a fellow actor, actress, or whatever, and you never know when you have to work with somebody again. Just be the person that you want to be. Be a good person. Also, be ready. When you work on these jobs, if you're booked for a commercial or a film or whatever, usually the hours are long. It can be anywhere from 10, 12, 14, 16 hours, or it might be an overnight shoot, so you never know. So when you get there, have a good attitude. You might shoot your scene earlier in the day. You may have 2 or 3 hours of downtime. Go somewhere, drink some water, grab a bite to eat, recharge, come back, and be, like I said, a team player. Another important thing is there's always one person on the set that always brings that good energy. And who's to say it can't be 2 or 3? So come there. The director might be having a rough time, he or she, and you know what? Your scene's up and they might be in a little cranky attitude. If you make it easy for them, throw a little humor in there or whatever, that will change the whole vibe. So, everybody's trying to work towards the same goal. So be that good person and spread the good vibe. Also, keep in mind, we're just storytellers. We're storytellers. So this next question is about how do you develop a character? That, depending on if it's a commercial or a film, it's the film, you got a little bit more latitude, a lot more latitude. So let's go with a film. So you get a film and you get the script and you're looking at the script like, oh, I've never seen this before. And sometimes you will have to develop a character out of scratch. You may have to go do some research to develop this person, the physicality of this person, the attitude of this person. This person might be in a profession you've never had anything to do with, been exposed to or know nothing about. So you have to go do your research. Some people call that method acting. You can call it whatever you want, but go do your homework. So whatever it is, if this person's in an industry that this character that's you're trying to portray is in an industry you know nothing about, go and check it out. Go find the people, look around, take notes, do your homework. So I develop a character in many different stages, as the physicality of the actor or the character. Depending on what this character is this character older, younger? Does this character have a physical characteristics? Do they have a limp? Do they have a specific walk? Do they have a specific attitude? So get that physicality down. A lot of times what helps me is if the clothing you wear. So for example, if everybody dresses up, you feel different when you dress up, right? You feel a different way. People look at you differently. They treat you differently. I've been on auditions where I had to go to an audition and it was in San Francisco and it was downtown. So I had to go downtown with a beautiful suit on and just the reaction of people, ladies, guys, whatever, they look at you differently. And I've had jobs where I had to go as a police officer and I had to go to a costume store and I got a police uniform just to do for that audition. But anyway, I was a little bit early, and I went to Starbucks, not thinking, and just the way the people reacted to me with, and a couple other cops were walking down the street, and they wanted to talk to me, and they were asking what precinct I was in. I told them I was an actor, but anyway, we got to get a laugh out of it. So people treat you differently according to how you dress or how you look, whatever. So the thing is, we're going to behave differently and perform differently by the way we look or dress. So that also is a good aid to help you out developing a character. A character can be based on, say for example, it could be a grandmother role or it could be a motherly role. You might base a character, say if it's for a female actor, you may base it on your own mother, which is great. You may have a great relationship with your mother, looking at the script like, oh my God, this is my mother, or this is my aunt, or you could be saying, this is my grandmother. Same thing with the guys, you can go with your uncle, you can go with your father. Sometimes it's two people, you're thinking, okay, this reminds me of two different people I know. So let me put both of their characteristics in here and develop this person. And then you can take the physicality of a third person and throw it all in there together. That's a lot of fun. Remember, we're storytellers. We can tell the story fast, and bring everybody along pretty quickly, or you can slow it down and make it a cliffhanger. You got one step at a time and you got everybody listening. So as an actor, actress, or actor, I like to just use actor, forget about the gender and all that stuff. We're storytellers. So you can tell the story any way you like within certain parameters. So if you were the director you're comfortable with, or you guys have just met, meet with them off to the side and see what they think. I want to play it this way, or just kind of surprise them. You're going to do 2 or 3 or 4 different takes, but the director may say, you know what, I like that second take that you did. That was pretty good, and come back with another one. So that's the fun about storytelling. You can tell the story pretty much any way you like within the confines of the actual film. So that's a good part. What's another part? You can do certain characters like very stereotypical. You've got certain different ethnicities that you can play, and you get, I'm not saying you got to be careful with that, but you know what? If it fits, work it. You know what I mean? And if the character has to be humorous, that's even more fun. So you can just, like I said, take bits and pieces from different people, different backgrounds or whatever, and that's a fun thing. Also, I'll share a little story with you. When I was younger, I used to go to shopping malls. I'm 65, but I would go to shopping malls in the 70s. That was a big thing back in the 70s. Go to the mall, go to the mall. So I would go to the mall, and I was by myself. I always kind of hung by myself, a little loner kid, but harmless. I would sit there and I would watch people in the mall when they would come through the doors. I don't know why. Maybe this was preparing me for later down the road for where I am now. But people would come in and they would tell you so much through their body language. You didn't know them, or they weren't speaking directly to you. You couldn't even hear them. But, somebody would come in and they would have their arms crossed, a little attitude, whatever, and you could tell like, okay, something's up with this person, just by the arms being crossed and the body language. Or the other person would come in and just kind of like, looking around, doing their thing. You're thinking, okay, another attitude. And then you got the other person coming in, with those darting eyes looking around, okay, little shady, you know what I mean? He's looking for an opportunity. Who knows what he's up to, but keep an eye on this guy. So body language. What I mean by this is a lot of times you may have a small part in a film or even in a commercial, and you may not have that many lines, but you can say a lot, not only with your lines, but with your body. So if your body's saying one thing and it's matching the character, that's very powerful. So, keep that in mind. It's not always about the dialogue. Sometimes it's minimal dialogue. It's about body language. So it's very important to do that. So another thing is if I get a script and it's, I've played a lot of, leading guys because of my parents, but I'll try to play a role or a character the opposite of my physical appearance. Does that make sense? So people will see you and like, okay, I know this guy, what he's going to do, and you completely flip the script. So that's another good one. That's a really good one. So you have a lot of options there. Keep that in mind when you get those scripts, whether it's for commercial or film, right? So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Like I said, stay prepared. That phone's going to ring. You're going to get the email. You're going to get the audition. And When you do, break a leg.